Hello everyone, we have the council member of City of Dublin, Mr. Arun Goel, who is also running for the mayor for the City of Dublin. And it's an honor and a pleasure to have you here. It's been a great fundraising event, a promotional event. People have been supporting you, endorsing you, giving you great words warmly received testimonials, I would also say that. So welcome to Yo India TV with me, Jasleen, Khanuja. And first of all, I would like to ask you, after all this warm reception, how do you feel?
I'm speechless. That's all I can say is I'm speechless. It's a great honor to have such support, wide support, and just the testimony is itself to say what I am to them and how I can deliver the next vision and the future for Dublin.
That's wonderful. And you have also been on the planning commission for Dublin. So give us in brief about your achievements being on the planning commission as well as being a council member.
So mainly on the planning commission, I became the voice of the community, really starting to, from a technical perspective for the first time in a long time in the City of Dublin, looking at projects from a technical perspective to ensure compliance within the zoning requirements, within the general plan. And through that process, although it was not under our purview, started identifying critical issues that were impacting the future of the City of Dublin, many of which unfortunately have come to fruition. And so really that was what spring-led my campaign to run in 2016 and helped me get elected in 2016. Since then, really continuing to be engaged with the community, overall understanding what their needs, their wants are, and just really being their voice, carrying their message through on the dais in the decision-making process, and really making them proud of being a Dublin resident.
That's wonderful, and I've been hearing a lot of appreciation for you being a strategic planner. But now, having been connected with the Dublin legislature, I would say, for quite a while, and with all these accomplishments, what do you see is still missing, and how would you try to solve it once you become a mayor?
So I think right now the biggest issue is they're disconnected from the community. They're good and comfortable with status quo. They're not willing to challenge and take up the strong fights or go against the status quo and really get an in-depth understanding. So I think that's going to be kind of sort of the real platform of my campaign, really being focused on businesses, of why they moved out and how to bring them back in, focused on overall infrastructural growth and balanced growth, and then also making sure that we have places for our next generation to be proud of.
So I personally feel that there is a space issue here. I think you also pointed out that the housing has been too much as compared to the to the businesses and transportation that the city can hold. How do you resolve the space issue? I mean, you cannot grow the territory, of course.
Well, I mean, Dublin is expanding, and it will expand further to the east through a major arterial corridor of Dublin Boulevard being extended. But I think when you look at what can we do, it's first of all, we still have undeveloped land. And what we need to do is really pause, reflect, understand what we want, and better define. Look towards the future and make sure that we have opportunities that are set aside that give us the flexibility looking into the future, understanding our vision and our wants, and really tying to the projections that the traffic corridor has here on the 580-680.
That's wonderful. So give us some insights into your engineering and project management background, and how are you trying to apply all those sciences and project management is in fact an art as well. So the art of delivery and the skill of negotiation that you have into your mayorship going forward.
So it's a very loaded question, and I can most probably sit here for a long time. But in short, over $300 billion worth of capital and infrastructural experience of delivery, from major airports to major rail, to major highway infrastructure, to the next generation of transportation infrastructure. It's really understanding what it takes, how to time the delivery, how to understand the delivery cycle and the environmental process. Really, the essence is you only have a limited amount of funds, and how do you utilize those funds to best serve its constituent base or its citizens that are going to use the facilities. So that's where my background is, and it is an art. It doesn't come easy. You know, I've had over 2 decades of experience just doing that, and now I'm working on the next generation of telecom. So it's the next generation of cellular. And when you tie all of that together with my transportation background, the highway information that I understand, working in the utility space and now telecom, that's what leads to smart cities. So it's really my career kind of 360 evolution of really leading us forward.
That's wonderful. Smart cities would benefit one and all. But what specifically are you doing for women and children?
For women and children, for children in general, both locally and internationally, I'm focused on education. So I do support a lot of nonprofit organizations. Regarding women, I am very proactive in regards to women having a voice. I have 3 daughters of my own, all becoming very good leaders, serving in official capacities. My eldest daughter's been in official capacity for over 3 years. So really connecting with the community, understanding what they're about, and making sure that women's voices are heard and children's needs are being attended to.
So tell us a little more about your eldest daughter's contribution.
Well, over 3 years ago, she had seen me at the Planning Commission level getting active. She started to serve on the Youth Advisory Committee on her own. And through there, she saw my campaign for run for City Council, very big core support. She ran a lot of the strategy side of the house. She helped do the door-to-door, the walking. A lot of good fundamentals that a lot of children today don't get inside of their own house. She did that, and recently she was appointed to the Parks and Recs Commission by the mayor. When it came to City Council, I ensured that I had 0 conflict, and I did recuse while that appointment did happen. At the same evening, my middle daughter got appointed to the Youth Advisory Committee. So they're both progressing forward and learning how to be a voice, learning how to be a leader, and learning how to really look towards the future.
I think you are a role model from parents' perspective as well. That's really nice to hear. One of the pressing issues at the national level that we see, in fact, I would say it's more of an international issue, is that of the immigration. The visas are, getting stringently tighter. The permits are not so easy anymore. And there's a lot of things we are hearing, the tension creating things for people who want to come here, live here, work here, and for several reasons they are not being allowed to be here. So as a mayor, how would you voice it out to the Senate to make it different and make it better for everyone?
Immigration right now obviously is a challenge, and everybody knows that, coming down from the administration and their policies that are being set. And I think really what happens is when you're a mayor, you become a more vocal voice that's heard, whereas on city council, when you're a council member, it's not as much heard. But I think overall the legislation within California is very pro-immigration and very much looking at all of the policies that are coming forward. I think this is just a trying time. It's a bubble, it's a blip, and we will overcome this. The community will get heard again in the next few years, and hopefully, if not before then, a change will be in the forefront.
And how would you make sure that the housing bubble doesn't come up again? In California, and in fact in the city of Dublin, the housing prices have gone up remarkably, and there is a lot of new construction in this area, and most of the people from South Asian origin have made it to this area because of the new houses, the new build, which is unlike many other cities. So how do you make sure that it doesn't end up into a bubble?
So you're talking more specifically about what happens if a crash were to happen. It's really about supply and demand. Right now we have this phenomenal shortage of housing, and that's what's carrying the bubble. And having been in real estate for over 14 years myself, understanding that and making sure that you're not overbuilding too quick, where the supply will end up becoming a shortage. And I think the real struggle is going to be in an economic downfall, because that economic downfall will spiral and that will actually burst the bubble, and there will be nothing really to prevent that. Generally, a 12-year cycle is what real estate professionals understand as being that cycle of you double or you dip. So really, I think something is on our forefront. The question is, what is the impact? I know here, having served on the HOA, we went through one of the worst and we survived it. And it was about being strategic, being able to understand and project forward, and being able to really plan in advance for the unfortunate, should it happen, because it will. The question is when.
That's nice. So what will be the 3 qualities in the city of Dublin that you would like to pitch in for someone to come and take it as a place of investment for a small or a medium-sized business, if not a big one?
Well, first of all, we have some of the best connectivity. We've got BART facilities coming in here. We have connectivities to ACE and rail. And one of the things that I'm leading on the transportation front is working with the JPA to actually take rail all the way into above the Altamont. So it's about doing a corridor mitigation, but one of the major advantages of Dublin is its proximity to everything. We're in proximity to the Silicon Valley, we're in proximity to San Francisco, but talent is actually unable to afford prime urban areas. And so it's the suburban areas that are having where all the talent is from. And I think that's where Dublin gets to take its advantage. We're situated well. We have a lot of people coming from over the Altamont that are commuting in 2 hours plus. And so I think really some of these businesses that want to embrace quality of life, have good expertise, and really help themselves in their business, they would start to look at Dublin. And that's one of my pillars for my campaign, is to really reach out with a technical advisory committee focused on businesses, understanding their bottom line impacts of what it takes to revitalize business here in Dublin.
That's wonderful. Any final message for the Yo India TV viewers, including anything for the diplomats across?
Well, first of all, for Indians across, it's a pleasure to be a voice and a representative, and I think we need more. I think we need more candidates to run, but for the business communities and alike, we need to support candidates like myself get elected into office to ensure our vision, our values are carried out, and we have a voice that can continue forward while supporting our local infrastructure.
That was truly wonderful, and thank you for your time in speaking with us. We wish you all the very best, and we urge all the viewers to please go and vote out for ARUN GOEL for mayorship in the city of Dublin. If you have friends who live in Dublin, please go out and voice it out to them as well. It's ARUN GOEL for the city of Dublin mayorship. 1, 2, 3, go ARUN GOEL.
How's everybody doing? Great. Good? You guys excited? Yes. Yeah? Good, you should be, because this is a pretty tremendous moment for us right here. Because change is coming to Dublin, and it's change that's much needed. And I did write a little bit, so if you see me staring at my phone, you don't have to excuse me. But we can all agree that Dublin is a great city, right? Yes. Okay, good. The officials today that are in office have done everything they possibly could do to get us here. But it's very clear they do not know how to get us to the next level. Could you guys agree with that?
Yes.
The infrastructure that they're putting into play, the strategy that the existing officials have in play, sets us up for the usual, for what we're doing today over and over again. So today, as everyone pointed out, I'm an entrepreneur. I started my company, Swarm Sales, in Dublin, California. I was able to execute my idea. I was able to raise capital. We raised about $2 million. And our business is now thriving and continuing to grow. We're becoming a global phenomenon. And people talk about us every single day. But my bigger pride and joy is my daughters. My daughters. Today I also have the pleasure of doing business in the city, but also raising them in the city. However, the infrastructure that exists today will not support me to stay in this city for more than 5 years. So, we need to think about the schools that need to come into play. We need to think about the local commercial properties that allow us to spend more time and spend more dollars in this city. And I can tell you that I've had conversations with ARUN, probably, the family about this, and I'm excited about this because I think the vision that you're bringing sets us up for that change that we so desperately need in this community. And knowing your values, ARUN, and knowing how you guys have raised your 3 daughters, I'm a father of 2 daughters, that excites me because you guys have taken into account what you want as a community better for their future as well as for the community as well. So what I want to do is I want to ask you a favor. I want you to give it all you've got because I know that's what you do always, right? I want you to make this into the next hot, Silicon Valley area where people are not only moving, but they're also building their next generation of companies as well, right? So can you do that?
I know that ARUN has the abilities to lead Dublin on. Part of it is I see him as a champion because he's already been here fighting for Dublin for city council. Let's give it up for all the hard work he's doing. So the message here is that we know ARUN has been a champion and will continue to fight for Dublin, for that housing, because we know it's outpacing the infrastructure, so we need an improved housing, and ARUN has the solutions to make that happen. Give it up. We also know that, he's an engineer, like myself. He got a master's in civil engineering. I got a degree in nuclear engineering, being the first Afro-American female in the United States. But engineers know how to solve problems because we have a way of figuring out the facts. Let's start with the facts and the data, and that leads to making a decision. And so he's been doing it for a number of years. So it is important that we have someone that is rational, someone that is fair, but also is data-driven to work on the issues in the community. So again, ARUN has shown he is a champion of how the problem solved. He's already on the Dublin City Council. The other part is that we know it's important because you got all these wonderful businesses right here in Dublin. You got Oracle, PeopleSoft, you got Calidus, you got Trade Network. It goes on and on and on. We need someone that has worked in technology, that has a background in engineering, that he can lead Dublin to the next level, being mayor.
ARUN cares for people. ARUN cares for this community. And I'm from here. My family's been here since 1934 in the Tri-Valley. My uncle built Hacienda Business Park. So, we know about sustainable growth. Living here, we like to see our cows. We like to see open fields. And me and ARUN talked about that. And, he wants the old, but he wants the new. He wants to move Dublin forward. And I like his vision. I like what he stands for. But he cares. He cares about the people. You're not going to find anybody with the biggest heart as ARUN, to me.
He sticks to his guns. Right. And he's like, no, this isn't the way I see it. So I see him as a man of integrity, and he's trustworthy. And I think it's cute that he looks to me for guidance. But
we all do.
But I respect him, and I really think that he will do a good job as mayor.
One person who stood out very, very clearly. I always see for talent and leadership. That's how I've been tuned, being a manager, being a leader in many corporate organizations. ARUN stood out very clearly, taking problems head on. And even though it's an important neighborhood problems, he's the only person whom I saw who really took the problem head on. And also talking to people about what do they do about it, how do they approach it, and he took leadership.
I know ARUN since in 70s. He's born in 70s as well, so all these years, Sheila and I were talking, his mom, the good old days. But what he's been able to accomplish over the last few years has made us very, very proud. So Arun, we are with you and we're going to make it happen.
Arun, so proud of everything you've done, and may victory be ahead for you in 2018. But no matter what happens, Dublin will have the opportunity to see one of its public servants at its finest. And win or lose, you'll transform the dialogue and the debate about the future of Dublin, and I have a profound amount of confidence that success will be yours. So good luck.
But some of you also are you. You're Christian, you're Muslim, you're Hindu. The diversity in this room is amazing. Some of you are here because he's Indian. Some of you are here because he's an engineer. And some of you are here because you've seen him go through so much on the council and put his blood, sweat, and tears to make some significant changes in infrastructure for Dublin. But all of you should be here because he's qualified. So can I give a hands up for qualified candidates?
We're not outpacing our housing development. That's one of Arun's big issues. And also, we spend $3 billion a year in our county services. That's your sheriff, your fire, your probation services, social services. We need oversight over that money. So I share Arun's values with accountability and transparency in that money, making sure we have audits over that money.
Everybody over here has said quite a bit, and I do want to make sure everybody understands nobody was coached into saying anything. And to me, that's what I stand for. Open, transparent, take that risk conversation. And so I want to start off by first of all saying it's an honor to be here in front of you today with all the supporters, all the residents of Dublin that have been able to make it here today. I know many could not. It's the first day of summer vacation, so it's been a little tough. But we want to lead Dublin to a positive future. And many of you guys were over here 2 years ago in this very same place. No one had the assurances at that time. No one knew that I would be standing here as your city council member. And what November holds, nobody knows again. But we are going to take a faith forward. We're going to take that leap. It took several months of debates and conversations. Tough conversation with my wife and kids, who were supposed to be right here behind me. They're kind of shy because I think they're changing their mind. I don't know. But many of the community members came out and asked me to run for mayor. And when I started my journey as city council member, I had no intention of ever running. I had no intention even now of ever having run for mayor. So what the future holds, all I know is we're going to move a needle. And we're going to move a needle in the positive direction. So today, I am formally taking the commitment to run as candidate for the future mayor of Dublin, California this November. As I reflect on the city, when I first moved here in 2003, and many of you guys had alluded to it, it was a quaint and expanding city. You could go across town in about 10 minutes. Many big businesses were here in town. They were looking to expand and or move in. We had critical amenity, BART, the ability to house new workforce options. However, nobody really knew where Dublin was on the map until you told them it was 580, 680. Today, we're a city that has had significant housing boom. As some of you would say, we have more units per square mile than most adjacent cities. Just think about that. More units per adjacent square mile than the adjacent cities. So we become known as the bedroom community. We are losing major businesses like SAP to San Ramon. We still lack the vision of a downtown. San Ramon has it. And you'll know later on why I'm saying San Ramon so much. But we have congested streets. It's taking our kids 45 minutes to get to high school in the morning. My commute is like that to the South Bay. We have infrastructure that is overwhelmed. We have a looming deficit with no real formula for success. We have to find and identify our way for a sustainable way for the future. Currently, we are paying all of our expenses using permitting fees from developers. Sounds like a problem. As many of you may know, I was born in the East Bay, Hayward. A Dublin resident for over 15 years. This is the furthest east I've lived. Okay? Alameda County, furthest east. I've seen the city grow over 4 decades. Okay, I'm a little older than that. And I'm vested in the city. I have 3 kids in the school system. And over the past 2 decades of my career, I've worked on the delivery of over 300 billion, that's with a B, $1 billion in infrastructural projects throughout the nation, state, and region, many of which you all enjoy today. Through my career, I've developed an in-depth understanding of government fund management, delivery with transparency and accountability, which has become part of my core and my values and my strengths. In addition, having been an intelligent transportation systems professional, an engineer, and a project delivery professional, I have developed a unique perspective which I believe can be utilized to the advantage of the citizens of Dublin and the region. In 2016, as I mentioned, I was honored to be elected with strong support to City Council, to be your voice to make a change and to take a stand to ensure the community vision and delivery. I can stand here today and say one thing with utmost confidence, that I have kept my promises 100%. And I continue to deliver on my commitments to the community, having a clean money campaign. So those of you who are asking why I don't have online donation, I am verifying every fund coming in. And I will turn away the wrong funds.
You gotta do it. Yeah.
As many of you might be aware, the City of Dublin is at a critical juncture. We're nearly built out. With that looming deficit and a lack of infrastructure to lead us successfully into the future. Can this all be changed today? Probably no. But we can alter the direction and improve our outlook over the next few years. And we can start making those changes right now. Dublin is a great place to live, don't take me wrong. It has become burdened by quick growth and expansion over the past decade. We're located at the junction of 580-680 with BART and ACE connectivity. However, if you sit around and you look, you have Concord promoting themselves as a business destination in Dublin, as being a Silicon Valley city. They're over 20 miles north from here. What's wrong with us? Why are we falling behind? Why are we losing traction? We're much closer. Is there something wrong? Fundamentally wrong. Why not bring tech businesses back to Dublin? What are our challenges and why are we losing them? Many of which left only in the past few years. SAP to be one of them. Thank you, San Ramon. Dublin has done a great community service and regional service by exceeding our Regional Housing Necessity Act targets. It's also known as RENA. And we've done that for the next several years. I'm saying looking into the future, we've already exceeded it. So now it's time to burden others and let them bear that on their shoulders. While we take a pause to address our schools overcrowding, impacting the future of our next generation and our infrastructure. We need to change course now and become the Silicon Valley city. Or, as some of you would remember from the early 2000s, Digital Dublin. So in my campaign, there's going to be 3 main pillars. The first pillar, focus on local business. We're going to bring local business back. We're going to establish a vibrant downtown and have businesses thrive here in Dublin. For instance, we can create a simple thing called a business incentive program. My second piece is going to be focusing on slowing housing growth. We can slow down the housing boom of TAP. We can focus on the future to deliver a better quality of life by ensuring that we're living a healthy, livable, viable community focused on amenities necessary for Dublin residents. And my third part is going to be focused on solving the school crisis. Now I know this won't be easy, however I'm willing to take that bull by its horn and work positively and collaboratively through tough conversations with the district to solve the citywide school overcrowding issues. Now many of you know through my background, I've been a strategic planner. I know that delivery of these three main pillars are going to need to commence within my first 90 days when I'm in office. And this will start with the formation of 4 committees directly reporting to myself, the future mayor of Dublin, California. The first committee will be a business expansion committee. It's going to be an advisory board led by top Silicon Valley technology executives. Now you've heard, we have ARUN here, we have Jay back there, and Encore. They're some of the few that could become part of this advisory committee. And along with other local businesses, they're going to be designed to target and bring technology companies back to Dublin and help businesses thrive here in Dublin. I want to leave you with a snapshot. Just think, today, Dublin sends stuffed buses full of employees to Apple, Google, and Facebook, instead of bringing their satellite offices to Dublin. We have connectivity and we're centrally connected with transportation options. We need to do whatever it takes to keep those businesses here and bring more in. The second committee, a watchdog and financial advisory committee. It's an advisory committee that will provide direct advice and guidance on policy-related issues to transparency, oversight towards the city's financial prudence, evaluation of economic areas of concern to address issues like the deficit, while ensuring essential services are maintained and/or increased, like the police force, and developing an enhanced procurement contracting policy. The third committee, a safety advisory committee. It's an advisory committee that will work on increasing safety elements in Dublin by evaluating the immediate need to increase police force. Let me be clear on one thing. This is not a crisis, but it is helpful to have extra hands on the police force. We need to increase public engagement and awareness via safety outreach program that trains citizens on common practices for situational awareness, vigilance, and how to respond to significant incidents. We hear about them all over the country. How are we ready and how are we prepared for it? Safety of our citizens of Dublin is critical to me, as I've worked closely with the police force and I understand the importance coming from the utility industry. The fourth and final committee will be a multimodal advisory committee. An advisory committee that provides guidance and input on policies, programs, and community engagement related to multimodal transportation. The committee will be comprised of and drawn from various interests and perspectives and stakeholder groups, including bicycle riders, pedestrians, transit riders, vehicle drivers, people with disabilities, and other multimodal system users. One of the committee's goals will be to ensure that people, youth, and the elderly can safely use our mobility system and that it supports the quality of life and economic vibrancy of Dublin. During my term, I will be focused on establishing policies that will help the city lead to the future. Whether it be from having autonomous shuttles or becoming a technology-based city. We need to become a smart city. Many may not know what a smart city is, so let me expand on that. It has the ability to harness the benefits of innovation and information technology by improving the lives of citizens, by becoming more streamlined, efficient, and sustainable. A few initial areas we'll focus on, in my vision, is intelligent transportation management systems and infrastructure, moving towards sustainable energy, efficient buildings, and better air quality with the use of technology. Let me give you a snapshot. Just think, from 2013 to 2016, traffic from the Central Valley increased over 27%. We as a city need to adjust with the times. We need to address congestion, and we need to address goods movement, working collaboratively with the region. So I'm going to leave you with this picture. In closing, Dublin 2 years from now, under my leadership, will be safer, more transparent, an engaged community, bringing businesses back to Dublin, developing economic growth and vibrancy, developing the implementation plan with roadmap for the vision of a pedestrian-friendly retail, including the delivery guidelines to establish a new downtown, all while slowing the housing boom to allow for focus on our infrastructure. I hope to earn your support this November and become the future mayor of Dublin, California.